Drop my needle.
Blink, start!
So many questions!
Jarvis, drop my needle.
Blink, start!
damn it, that's the wrong screen changes, and we're not gonna talk about it. Welcome in, everybody. Hello, how are you? What's going on? This is episode 24. Hermes, I'm starting to lose count. I need help. You might need to actually pay attention because I'm not paying attention. If neither one of us are paying attention, it's gonna be a shit show. More so than it already is. But welcome, everybody. Of course, that is Hermes Akumu. And you're probably wondering, hey, who is this other lovely person we have on the stream? This is Sabre. Sabre is a good friend of ours. Has been in the Discord, been in the channel a lot, as well as Captain Rockhab's channel, which is, I think, where we met and actually got to know each other. So,
yep, that sounds correct.
Sabre is currently developing a game, which is one of the reasons he's going to be on the show. I've been excited to get him onto the show to talk about everything that we have, that he has, development of what it takes, how much hard work it is to actually develop a game, and how long it is, because we had a little bit of talk in the pre-show and we got a little bit of taste of what it's like. So I'm excited to deep dive into that. As well as, of course, if there's anybody else on this planet that I would want to talk about Destiny 2. I couldn't know anybody better. So that's sure also we're gonna. Well, me. Okay, I will say. How about me personally? That I know, very heavy into Destiny 2. So we're gonna get his thoughts on the current landscape and everything. But before we do that, Hermes, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself? How has your week been?
It's good. I actually had a fantastic week. People at work today celebrated early Halloween or whatever, if you want to, by dressing up. So that was kind of cool. There was candy everywhere. So I didn't do a whole bunch today, which is weird, but also I think rightfully so.
Have that nice candy coma.
Oh, yeah, it's too much. Absolutely too much candy. But how are you? How have you been, Sabre?
I'm good. Life's been kind of crazy, but I'm doing good. I'm sticking in. Sticking in there. Good. Halloween will be good, and then, holiday season begins.
Do you guys have any plans for Halloween? I guess Sabre will start with you.
We're just going trick-or-treating with my son, and we have some family coming over to hang out, so it should be a good time.
Sweet. That should be a good time. Hell yeah. Hermes, what about you? Anything?
I'm going to work as Legion from Dead by Daylight, so I'm going to scare the crap out of some children.
That's sick. That's so cool, man. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. I'll do a quick little intro here. If you guys are joining us on YouTube, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/TheJordanBeach. We do this every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, like today and this lovely evening, we have a guest this time. Usually it's just me and Hermes bullshitting back and forth, but we're going to have some context. We're going to have some actual good conversations. That's what happens when we have people on. So if you guys are joining us on YouTube, definitely come over, hang out with us Friday nights. Ask a question, join us in chat like Rintalia, Hangy Cubed, Sapiens Black, Mama Moss, as well as Breezy Akumu. We'd love to have you guys. It's fun. It's a good time. Ask us any questions. We're up for kind of including chat as much as possible. So please come by and say hello. We'd love to have you. But let's do some news. I do want to get into some news, some quick hitters. We'll get into that deep dive of the game you're making. Share the link with everybody so they can play it. And check it out on the latest build that you have. But I wanted to talk about a couple things. So there is a little bit of there's some obviously we still have console shortages, right? I think Xbox just came out with their numbers of sales of their Xbox series, and I think it reached 8 million. I think it was 8 million or something like that. Which is still very, very impressive. Of course, you have PS5 just blowing off the roof. It's just extremely popular in a lot of different areas. We talked about it briefly about the Xbox and Japan being a huge new market for Xbox and things like that. It is still very small compared to Nintendo as well as PlayStation. But with this upcoming season is really when Xbox has their heavy hitters. So you've got Forza coming out November 9th, and you have, of course, Halo Infinite coming out December. Had to clear that. Coming out December 8th. So I'm really thinking that there's going to be a weird push. And then in between those two releases, what do you have? Black Friday. I know that's more of a US, I think a US kind of.
Pretty sure it's just for US.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Black Friday is just kind of a US thing. But nonetheless, a huge push for all sales and things like that. Do you think there's going to be, they have like a secret stock hidden away for people like in store and things like that?
I mean, I think I saw a brief article saying Walmart was storing a bunch of consoles ready for holiday season. I didn't read into that article at all, just saw it and said, huh, and then moved on.
Right.
But it's entirely possible that the retailers have been kind of holding back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to get ready for that holiday season because I know these are going to be hot ticket items.
Right.
But it's really hard to say because electronics in general have been really in high demand.
I agree. And I don't know about you guys, but I've seen personally in the wild without it being like a launch or anything like that. I saw one Xbox Series X like sitting on a shelf. No, it was a Series S. I'm sorry. It was a Series S just sitting at a GameStop in the shelf, just ready to be purchased. I haven't seen anything else. Now, I haven't seen an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 just sitting in their little locations that they are, even Target, Walmart, any of those. And it's a weird situation going in from a year from launch, right? And you're going into the second holiday. I give it, the first holiday normally is tough for people to get a hold of them because it just released. Right. But you're going into the second big one, and you can't, you know what I mean? There's still that huge demand. And I know the shortage and all that other stuff that plays into it, but it's just crazy that I don't think there's never been anything like this, right? That's like, there's never been this big of a shortage for this long. It's just weird.
And I can also tell you from like working in retail, you definitely want to like keep those items held back for the holidays.
Yeah.
But and I don't work with anything that is heavy electronics. I work at a $5 store.
Hey, you got some great shit in there. Anyways.
But I will tell you that another big issue is nobody can get shipment right now. Like from small stores to large stores, like we are frozen on accepting shipment. So a lot of us aren't even going to be open like long hours for the holiday season.
And that's good. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? Give retail people like the normalcy of that time period. I think would be very, very nice. I forgot all about the shipping issue. That's a big problem too, because stuff is just sitting somewhere, right? Massive amounts of stock and just sitting somewhere waiting literally to get to the store to be sold and purchased. That's crazy to me. But I think this holiday season is going to be a little bit different. Last year's, of course, was weird and all that, but I don't know, man. It's going to be, we'll see what happens. I don't think I have my eyes on anything, right? It's everything I want is like down the line because it's expensive, like a new PC or whatever. It's not like a Black Friday purchase for me. I don't know if you guys are going to pick up a Keurig machine. You guys going to do that? You guys going to wait in line, out in the freezing fucking cold for a coffee machine?
I'm a big Cyber Monday person anyway. So,
and I think that's what we're going to be looking at, right? Cyber weekend. It's not even a Monday thing. And shit's going to start early. Who knows what's going to happen? Let's see here. I don't know if you guys are the Witcher fans. But we had an actual full trailer released for season 2. God damn it, I'm excited for The Witcher. If you guys haven't watched it, I will stop talking about it and I will just move on. I want to note how excited I was. So please do. If you guys get a chance, watch The Witcher. It's fantastic. Anybody in chat, you guys as well.
Put it on my to-do list.
Yeah, there you go. There was another one here. So Dead by Daylight, pretty big topic for Hermes and I. They added new iconic Resident Evil skins to the game, meaning you can probably get Chris Redfield, I think, Claire Redfield, as well as some others. I think it was, for some reason, they were added into the game recently. Sorry, these are different skins. I apologize. These are skins of like people who are already in the game. I apologize.
Gotcha.
But kind of cool. Kind of just a little thing I wanted to touch on since a lot of us are big into that. Something not related to gaming, but it is. Facebook changed their name. Do you guys have thoughts on that?
Man.
So dumb.
They are trying to, if you guys didn't hear, they went from, I think, Facebook instead of being in, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. They went from Facebook and individual stuff to call themselves Meta. Is that wrong? Or is it just Facebook that changed to Meta?
I believe the company as a whole changed its name to Meta.
And then everything else is just individualized through Meta, which is the umbrella.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
The umbrella part of the company changed its name.
Jesus Christ.
Which happens a lot, but it's just big news because it was Facebook.
Yeah, and it's and Zuckerberg is such a goof. When I'm watching that, and he is all the memes are true. He's a robot. He's a lizard.
Yeah.
I don't care whatever you people think he looks like he is.
I was joking around when Facebook went down a couple weeks ago. I was joking around that they unplugged him from the servers to go to court. That's why it went down.
They had to unplug him. That's great. He did put in his little intro that he did for changing the name. He put out, do you guys remember the meme where he was talking about Sweet Baby Ray's?
No.
Have you seen this?
No.
So he did a video of how he was like cool and hip and hanging out with his friends. And he said Sweet Baby Ray's like 27 times. And this blew up on the internet for a while. It was memed. It was made fun of, whatever. But he ended up putting it on his shelf in the background, a bottle of it. Because he was trying to be like, haha, look at me. I see what's going on. I'm not a robot. So it's pretty damn funny to me. Hermes, do you have any other news that you wanted to talk about before we get into kind of what Sabre's been up to in Destiny 2 and development of a video game?
Not really for this week. Kind of as far as like big movements are concerned.
Right. That's my whole point.
Sort of slow. Little bit of a disappointment coming out of Sony's showcase that they did.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. What are your I couldn't even honestly, I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
right.
I touched on the highlights. That's kind of what I did. I had a feeling it was going to be disappointing. I didn't know it was going to be people's like least favorite state of play ever, which is weird, right? But you're still getting game announcements and stuff. But
right.
I had countless people saying, hey, that could have been an email or it could have been a blog post. You know what I mean? You didn't have to put this big presentation, not even a big presentation. It was really just a recorded video that they did audio over. So, yeah, a little bit of a letdown, but I think we're going to be let down until we get to the Game Awards in December for like huge announcements, I think. So,
very true.
I think we're going to watch that. Hopefully we can co-stream that. That'd be really neat. Jeff Keighley's pretty good about that though. So, I'm sure that's going to be the case. Breezy in chat asked, how's the Xbox Series X fridge? I don't have one, you bastard. That's how it is. Maybe down the line.
$100.
Yeah, it's only 100. Yeah, it's and it sold out in 37 seconds. No big deal.
I believe that.
All right, Sabre, let's get into it. I have the link. I'm gonna post it in chat.
Go for it.
So why don't you go ahead, give me a big overview of kind of what your game is about, your direction, the genre, all that kind of stuff. Why don't you go ahead and just enlighten me, act like I've never heard of it, act like I've never even laid eyes on it.
All right, I'll give you my elevator pitch. So what I'm working on is a dungeon crawler roguelite.
Okay.
So you're going to be able to go in. It's a tower, so you go up on floors. It plays very similarly to, or it's going to play very similarly to Enter the Gungeon. Taking a lot of inspirations from that and kind of the gameplay of it. Some other inspirations are Moonlighter, if you've played that, the dungeon crawling aspect of that game draws some inspiration. And then it's very heavily themed around Dungeons and Dragons. So you're going to see a lot of common enemies from there and see iconic monsters and stuff like that. Take a lot of the kind of aspects of that. You'll be able to play as D&D characters. So you'll be able to choose a character and go through this dungeon. Basically, what I'm trying to do is make it so that every time you go into this tower and start a new run, you're essentially starting a combat-focused one-shot campaign with one character. So you can go through and level up and get kind of randomly chosen abilities, kind of like Hades, where you get those random abilities. Those are going to affect your character, and each character is going to have different focuses in their stats, and they're going to have active abilities that they will be able to activate that will differentiate them all from each other. So right now in the game, in the version that Beach posted, I have a paladin character. There's my son
Hi.
coming to say goodnight.
Yeah, there you go.
So in that version 0.2, I have a paladin character that the paladin is going to be it's going to be the tank. It's going to be high HP, high defense, and then as you level up and get, I'm in the process of renaming them, but as you level up, you're going to get feats that you'll be able to select, and those are going to focus on mainly increasing your health and making you tankier so that you can take more hits than some of the other characters that will be in the game.
Okay. So here's where that sounds fantastic. Now here is my question. Where do you start?
Where do you start?
You know what I mean?
Vague question.
Like when you start and you're like, I know obviously it starts with an idea. That's how everything starts. But game development to me is different than a piece of art. You know what I mean? It's different. It just is. For some whatever reason, it feels different. And all type of art is subjective. But,
Apologies.
no, you're fine. You're okay. No worries. No worries.
Come here, buddy.
Oh yes.
Come say goodnight.
Please.
It's not Uncle Red.
It's gonna make the stream so much better. Let's go.
Come here.
We need the cute factor. We've got us on here all the time.
Come here, bud. Come here. Come say goodnight. Oh, buddy.
Man.
All right, he's playing with Christmas.
That's
right
fair.
now.
That's fair. That's fair. No worries.
All right.
Yeah, but so it's different to me if like a piece of art, like you know, if you're doing a drawing, you start, right? And then but a game I feel like there are many more layers to it. So like where do you start? Obviously with a drawing, a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, a brush, whatever it might be. But like a video game, where do you start? Is it just jotting down all the stuff that you want to do inside of it? Or where did you start? But rather, I think that's a better question.
So where I started. So I actually have a background in software development. It's what I do as a job. And I've done game design kind of on and off over several years, like every year for the past like decade. New Year's comes around. I'm like, I'm going to make a game this year. And, you know, eventually, you know, as all New Year's resolutions do, they fall off. But yeah, about December last year, I sat down and said, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to sit down, get dedicated and get working on this. So what it ended up started with, and this is going to go for a lot of software development, not just games. But you kind of have to set your scope and say, this is what I'm working on. So for that very first version, I had to sit down and say, how many items do I want in this game? How many weapons are going to be in this game? How many enemies are going to be in this game? And kind of what main features are going to be in this version of the game. So I'm doing an iterative release schedule. So I'm planning on doing 10 different releases. I've had 2 so far. I'm working towards a third. Hopefully should be out before Christmas. We'll see what happens. But so with each of those releases, I kind of sit down beforehand and plan out, okay, what exactly am I going to be working on? Like, for example, this current release that I'm working on right now, I said, okay, I want to implement a shop. So I want players to be able to find a room within this dungeon, and it's going to be a shop where they're going to be able to spend gold that they've collected from dropped enemy or killed enemies and pick up new items or new weapons. So definitely starting is a good place. So a good place to start making a game is come up with the actual idea first, the gameplay loop, and then kind of scope in what exactly that's going to mean. because I could have started saying, okay, I'm gonna make Enter the Gungeon 2
Right.
and sit down and say, okay, let's make all 100 or whatever weapons. But that's gonna suck. That's gonna be awful. And then I'm gonna lose the forest from the trees and have 100 weapons to test, but no enemies yet because I've been working on weapons. And that's one thing where it's one thing that if you ask a lot of people where to start making games, because it's honestly really easy to
Right.
start making games.
Yeah, everyone should do it.
Yeah, quote unquote easy. There's plenty of tutorials and free resources out there to make games, but one of the things that a lot of people fall into is one of the problems that people fall into is that they make their game way too big to start, and they start looking at this monster or this mountain to climb, and they're walking up it instead. So you want to bring it a lot down. So instead of doing a full clone of Mario with 18 levels or 18 worlds with 10 different levels or whatever, start with 10 levels.
Okay.
Set that scope and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and tackle that. And then when you have that basis, you can expand on it. And that's effectively what I'm doing with my release schedule.
Did you know that you wanted to do your dungeon crawler roguelike?
In a word, no. It's something that I kind of it's something that I reached after kind of thinking about it, saying, because I've had different ideas. I wanted to make a Fire Emblem-esque game that's turn-based, and I've done little projects where it was like a top-down shooter. I've done a couple different little projects, and to say how I landed on this one specific, I would say that it was kind of just the scoping and saying, this is the ultimate goal of where I want to go, and starting small helped give me that kind of motivation to keep on going with this idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of an iterative thing. It was eventually, I think it was originally going to be turn-based, so kind of move,
interesting.
attack, stuff like that. But as early in development, I kind of decided or realized that an action-oriented roguelike would be a lot easier on me personally to code and develop. But it was a little bit more, it was just more fun. It just, as I was coding it and kind of starting that early development, it just made more sense.
Hermes, I'll give you a chance, Hermes. Do you want to go ahead and ask? Do you have a question? Because I have a billion in my head right now that I just want to ask. So I'm gonna let you go before I literally just take over.
Okay. So it sounds like Dungeons and Dragons is a really big inspiration for the game. And then you also said that you don't want to make a huge mountain to climb. How does Dungeons and Dragons play into making a game like this?
So I'm more or less taking theming from Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not out to recreate Dungeons and Dragons as a single player roguelike. That's not ultimately my goal.
Right.
For one, there are going to be a bunch of enemies that don't make sense. In the version that I have out now, the boss in the third floor is a gelatinous cube, and obviously typically those don't move. They just kind of sit there or move slowly. And in this game, I kind of had to rework mechanics and decide, it's actually going to bounce around the room and jump and slide around the room, because a cube just sitting there swinging at it a couple times isn't going to be interesting game mechanics.
Easy, on to the next.
Yeah, and then going into some of the more complex enemies, they're going to have a lot of different, in Dungeons and Dragons, they can react in a lot of different ways and do multiple attacks in one turn, but that doesn't really translate to an action-oriented game. You can't have, I don't know, Chimera breathing fire and attacking you with its snake tail and scratching at you all within a few seconds, or the players, players can
or you get Dark
BS
Souls
and run.
or you get Dark Souls.
Yeah, I'm not out to make Dark Souls. I don't want it to be overly difficult. I know roguelikes do have they have a difficulty curve, and I want it to be somewhat difficult, but I'm definitely not out to make an overly punishing game. I want people to go in and be able to, take I'll say barbarian, because that's one I'm working on. That's the character I've been working on this release. I want them to take them in and go and, grab feats that can light players on fire or enemies on fire when they're raging. Just have a good time. I don't necessarily want it to be an uberly punishing game.
Gotcha.
I knew Hermes on Dungeon. As soon as he said Dungeons and Dragons, it caught your fucking ears. You perked. You perked up big time. Like he was like, oh, I could. Hell yeah, this is my game of the year.
Game of the year in like 2 or 3
right.
Years, I'll take that.
So where do you being that you're obviously one person developing a game is nuts regardless. A couple games that I've played in the past, well, one game more recently was developed by one person, was 12 minutes. Luis Antonio.
Yep.
Developed 12 minutes, and I think there's a huge, and not to say that like it's on that scale, and obviously he's had publishing, he's had backing and stuff like that. So for somebody in your position, is where do you start? Like, where do assets come from? Where does art direction come from? Are you doing all of your art? Are you I guess I don't know how that works for one individual, because that seemed like there's so many avenues to cover, but one person maybe, does all the art for your enemies or your characters so explain to me to that, like, where did you borrow? Are there assets that you borrow or purchase or how does that work?
So that's one thing I will say that's definitely one place to start. And a good place to start is finding free assets. There's lots of free assets online, and you can do that. That's actually how I got started. There's a couple websites. I can't remember the exact one. I can find it and post it to you if you care to know, but he provides a bunch of sprites and sound effects and UI pieces all for free, and takes donations so that he can, keep
doing what he's doing,
what he wants to do, but they're available for free. So that's what I did. He had some sprites that basically fit around the idea of knights and monsters and stuff like that. So I grabbed them and pulled them in. And as I've been going on, I've been taking on more responsibility within the game. As from last version, or the version that is currently playable, I started doing my own sprite work, and I'm still doing that. In future releases, I'm going to try my hand at music. I'm less confident in that, but again, I was less confident in pixel sprites than I am now, and I'm still very much a beginner in that aspect. As for why I'm doing it all by myself, I have limited time to do this development in terms of just free time. Like, you saw, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I have multiple pets. The black blob there is my dog, who's a pain in the butt. And all of those are responsibilities, and I can't just expect to, be done working and go sit up in front of my computer for 4 hours and work on a game every night. I have responsibilities, so I can have to fit my game development in where I can. And so that's kind of why my development timeline is as long as it is. Trying to give myself plenty of leeway, saying, if I have a crazy week and if only can work like maybe 15 minutes a night, or if there's multiple nights where it just doesn't make sense to do any development, I don't necessarily fall too far behind. Would it be easier to find someone who could do the music and do the art? 100%. Absolutely. I would not deny that for a second.
Is this well, I'm not trying to put pressure or anything, but it's like, is this a Is this a adventure you want to finish on your own, out of like your own, I don't know, getting, you know, the best out of it? You're like, holy shit, I did this all by myself. Like you might feel extremely accomplished. Is that kind of how you feel about it? Or is
That's
it like
definitely a big part of it?
Is
yeah.
it like, hey, maybe I could reach out to somebody who was also willing to do pro bono stuff? You know what I mean? Like, that isn't worried about maybe just kind of getting experience under their belt. So is it kind of like that's how you feel about it? You just want to complete it all and be like, look at my baby, look what I did.
It's a weird mix. I'll say that wanting to do it all on my own is a big part of it. I do want to be able to say, hey, look at all of this. I did this.
Gotcha.
But another big part of it is I've kind of broached making games with other people, and it usually doesn't stick around. It doesn't
Right.
end up well. And so I don't necessarily want to like find some people and get them real interested for like 2 months, and then I tell them, okay, go make all of this art. I need 15 enemies and all of these animations for these enemies, and they, you know, get 2 done and say, this
Right.
sucks. I don't want to do this.
Right. That makes sense too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the aspect of like reaching out to just different people as availabilities come up. I don't necessarily want a different art style or a different music style to shift over where like
You know
for
what
one
you want.
release
I mean, that's kind of how it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, I mean, I'm speaking more to like differences between different people, saying like I reach out to one person and he says, "Oh, I'll do 2 songs for free," and then you know I get those 2, and then I have to go find someone else to go do some other song,
I understand.
and then there's a disconnect between those. Well, I'll say a potential disconnect between those
Okay.
assets.
Hmm.
So, and then another big thing is just funding. Like, I don't necessarily expect anyone working with me to just say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that for free. I'll work on this game for
Right.
3 years
Mhm.
with no guarantee of any
Yeah.
reasonable amount of money." Like, indie development is hard, and it's a big market, and it's hard to get noticed.
Yeah.
So,
I respect the living shit out of anybody who attempts it. Like the indie scene to me is given now the number of games, and I'm gonna look it up, but the number of games that are released on a weekly basis, like on I'll just use Steam in general, is astounding compared to what it used to be. Honestly, like you know what I mean? People are either getting more confident, or I don't know, but it's so impressive to me. And I love the fact that there is that, you know what I mean? For example, this might be your first stab at it, but you could very well make an absolute indie darling in the future that people fall in love with. You know what I mean? Like, you've got Death's Door, you've got all these other classics, 12 minutes, and countless others, absolutely countless others. I don't know. There's something about the indie scene that just makes me exudes respect and taking a risk. And it's awesome to see. I love this. Talking to you has been very, very exciting. I was excited before it started. I'm not trying to say it's at the very, this is your first project, and I don't know if I'll ever get that chance to talk to somebody that's doing their absolute first stab at this again. You know what I mean? Like, of course I'd love to, but it's like, it's so rare now that people are like, yeah, I did this and this and XYZ. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. And I'm envious of anybody who can and has the time, the patience, the talent, all that stuff to put it into it. Cause I'm excited to talk to people. I wish more people would come on to this show and throw all of their stuff at this show and just, have a good time and, come back with updates, which I hope you do. I hope you're coming back with updates in next builds. Do you have, I know you joked about it, but you have a timeline that you want to maybe put out there?
Yeah, so I can give a timeline. So right now the timeline I'm working on is this version that I'm working on should hopefully be out about mid-December. again, hopefully there
Mhm.
may be delays and it may get pushed to later December or early January.
Well, hey, we know how the internet handles delays, so you better be careful with that, okay?
I mean, grand total, like 10 people know that this game exists, so I think they'll handle it.
9 of them are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, 9 of them are gonna be pissed.
I'll be the one
But yeah,
that's
so
not.
next release, it should be out again, should be out end of this year or
Right.
very early next year. And then the release cadence that I'm kind of aiming for is every 4 months. So the 4th version would be out in about end of April, early May. 5th version be out, what would that be? August, end of August, early September. And then with that 6th version, I'm actually planning on doing a Kickstarter
Oh
to
shit,
try and
okay.
acquire some funding. Yeah, so that's something.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome. I know my ass is gonna be there. So
Well, I appreciate that.
that's another thing I wanted to talk to you. And Hermes, I'll let you ask a question in a second. I'm sorry, dude. I'm so excited.
This is awesome to listen to.
This is
like,
mo-
I am
this
intrigued.
This is 100% my environment. Like this is me just absorbing all this shit. So I apologize. Is this something that you want to eventually release on like I guess whatever platform will have you, like Steam, Epic Games? I don't know how. I know consoles are a little bit more of a bigger deal than like Steam and stuff, and that takes more developing for like a different platform in general. But is that kind of the game plan? If things go well for this one, you're like, you know what? Let's see what we can do. Can I get it on Steam? Can I get it on and that kind of stuff? Is that the game plan?
So yeah, the game plan is kind of regardless of how the Kickstarter goes. I have high hopes but low expectations for how that Kickstarter goes. But that's
Yeah.
A year in the future, so I'm not too worried about it right now. But regardless of how it goes, the plan is to at least get a Windows build out and get it out onto. It's already available on itch, so I'm probably going to make it available there. And then Steam should be a fairly easy release in maybe GOG and maybe Epic Store. I don't know.
Right.
I haven't thought too far into what kind of PC releases. In terms of console releases, that's kind of where the Kickstarter is gonna kind of come into play.
Almost determined might play a hand in it. Gotcha.
So the way Unity works, and I may be a little fuzzy on these details, but you have to buy their pro subscription to be able to make builds for consoles and get that kind of build support. So getting those funds from that Kickstarter would give me the opportunity to get that pro subscription and get those builds and make them and be able to, figure out how to get them onto the SDKs or the consoles to test them.
Awesome. So I'm assuming I could stream this.
Stream
as in like on my channel.
The
build you have out what you have now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I didn't mean I want to put any pressure. If you wanted to tell me no, I wouldn't be embarrassed in front of these people.
No,
so.
I mean Captain's already done a run of it.
Awesome.
I think he did the build before this. So
okay.
He has not, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't played it on stream.
Okay.
This version.
And I do want to let you know that in the future, I hope you come back every build.
Sure.
If you're down for it, we'd love to have you. I think that would be
absolutely.
Ooh, a devlog live on split screen. That'd be cool.
I think
sick. A 4-month-long devlog.
I would love to have. I would love to have any information, any updates. Especially I want to know when the Kickstarter happens because I want to have you on for that. You don't have to make the announcement through here or anything, but I just want to at least talk about it, put it out there, get people knowing about it because wider audience is what I'm after, and it's not for personal reasons. I have my 9 to 5. I'm not worried about that, but it's more for exactly, honestly, your case, right? It's, of course, I want to have more eyeballs on the channel and stuff. Great, cool. That's a side thing. But like, if I have more people come to the channel and like see your stuff and like download it and, contribute to the Kickstarter and download the game on Steam or buy it when it's out or whatever, or just even try the demos that are playable. That's what this shit is. That's kind of what I've wanted Split Screen to always be about. Larger streamers don't need me to interview them. I don't want to fucking interview those people anyways. They've been interviewed. It's more the up and coming hidden, I don't want to say hidden, but like just not visible talent that I kind of wanted to put out there. That's why you're here. That's why we're talking. This is kind of what's all about. Hermes, I'm going to shut up. You go ahead and ask a question.
Wow, what a thanks for segueing me hard there.
Hope you're ready.
I'm not.
Damn it. Come on, dude. I can keep going. Just say the word and I will keep going.
Go ahead, give us some more.
All right. So when it comes to development, is when you start, I know I asked you like, where do you start? And did it start with like a list of like, hey, this is my stuff, right? This is my direction. And once you found your start to the point you are now, has it gotten easier to develop your game and actually like progress?
So that's a complicated question.
Okay.
So the way you do development kind of can hinder or help you. So I've done some development to make a lot of things easier where I have code in saying basically set up a template for, say, just a base weapon. So making a base weapon is fairly easy. I can do it in a couple clicks and entering some data and then getting some other, like making the sprite and making the object in the game. It's fairly cut and dry. And then there's other layers of the development that I coded less than great for continued development. So what's going on right now is that I'm basically copying and pasting a lot of the same code into different areas. So I'll say like, best example is like, I've got a potion that'll heal you, and that's code in there. But I also have a weapon that'll heal you on certain triggers, or you have an ability that'll heal you, every once in a while. Every time I do that healing factor, that's essentially me taking the same bit of code and copying and pasting it into a new file. And something I'm going to do very early on next version is make it a lot more module so that it's more like I have a weapon and I have this effectively like they describe the way I could easily describe it as like a Lego brick, and say like I have this healing Lego brick and I can just slot it into the weapon. But I can take that same Lego brick and say, okay, I want a character ability that will heal you, so I can slot that Lego brick into the character ability. So the way you code your game, and if you make smart decisions early on, it can make your development a lot easier as you expand it. But if you make dumb decisions, or at least uninformed decisions, you can end up having to you end up creating what's called tech debt in the greater software engineering field, technical debt, which is basically you writing poor, for lack of a better word, code, and you have to go back and pay off that debt by reworking it and making it better and make it work better for your project.
Okay. So your short answer, yes and no. Okay, nice. I love it. I absolutely love that. Hermes,
and that's the thing. Through all of this development, I'm learning new things.
Right.
I've been following.
I'm sure. I'm very sure that's the case.
Yeah, I've been picking up game dev tutorials that are like more intermediate, so there's a lot more in-depth topics. It's not like I'll make this character move. It's a lot more advanced topics in terms of making a deeper game and adding a lot more involved mechanics. And just recently I picked up one on pixel art where I am still very much a beginner, and even just watching, a couple hours of those tutorials, I'm picking up stuff like, wow, I never would have thought of that. That's will instantly make my sprites better. So it's a constant learning process.
God damn, that's so good. That is so cool. So interesting. Hermes, before I switch gears, before I switch gears, you're good. I wanted to make sure you had a question before I jump to the Destiny 2 and do the outro for the whole game and stuff. So you go ahead.
I've got two.
Let's go.
All right.
So with coming on with development, of course, there is always once in a while mistakes that will be made. Have you ran
100%.
into any major bugs yet with the game?
Oh God. Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Um,
That's awesome.
bugs are the weirdest thing. They are so. The easiest way to think about code is you're telling a computer to do something, and it will do exactly what you tell it to. It just may not be what you want it to do.
Okay.
So best thing is I was attempting to implement a weapon that you could throw, and it would like stick into enemies or like hit a wall and stop, and then you could call it back.
Okay.
And what was happening was just because of some of the mechanics within the Unity engine, it would like hit a wall or hit an enemy and just start bouncing. It wouldn't stop. It would just bounce, and it
Well,
wouldn't
that's a cool
bounce.
weapon.
Ricochet effect, right? Ricochet bonus.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't bounce off at any decent speed. It would just kind of think. So,
Oh
and
man,
it's just even to this day, I could go back and look at it and just probably hit a wall. Like they're just weird bugs sometimes, or it's as simple as sometimes you just don't put in a piece of data, like you're missing a script, or this one's more specific, but I changed up how. So now that there's two characters, I kind of had to change up how the level loads in. It used to be just the player character was there,
Okay.
but changing it so that you could select between the two characters, it now knows which character you're going to spawn in and creates it. It doesn't exist in the level until you start the level. And when you do it that way, it ended up causing what's called a race condition, which basically means a lot of stuff is happening at relatively the same time, but because of when it happens, it causes issues. So what was happening was the player character was almost getting created, and then there were aspects of the UI that were expecting the player to already be there.
Okay.
And so I would start the game, and the UI breaks and says, player's not there. I don't know what to do.
what's happening?
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was a quick fix because I figured out what was going on, but that could have been, if I didn't have a better idea of what was going on, that would have been a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Chasing down and figuring out. Race conditions are the worst.
That sounds.
It's literally just objects racing for data and just one coming in slightly before the other and causing issues.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's insane. That is. Oh, I think those are the most fascinating videos. Is like when developers, indie or AAA or whatever, I wish they would embrace the bugs and like show what you had, because like that's a pretty fantastic video for somebody in my shoes. I would love to see something like that. You know, like, hey, what were some of the challenges or hills or hiccups or hurdles that you ran into? And even the hilarious ones. I mean, they all make for, like you mentioned, you threw the thing, the weapons, it hit, bounced off, but it wasn't fast. It was just kind of glided away, right? So
Yep, just kind of glided away.
that shit is hilarious.
Yeah, and I think even in this current version that's out there, I think if you are kind of like bumping up against the enemy as you kill it, it'll just kind of gently float off.
That's
So
good,
you can
dude.
try and look out for that.
That's so
Again,
good.
that will be fixed, but that does, I believe, does exist in the current version that's out
Good.
there.
Good, good. Oh, so good.
Awesome. And then so another question I had is, when you were choosing, I guess, in what art style to make the game, what made you choose like the pixel sprite version and not anything else?
So I wasn't gonna do 3D. 3D inherently makes everything a lot more difficult. It's literally adding a third dimension.
Yeah.
And then going from the idea of I want to do everything myself. Pixel art's fairly easy. I mean, there's a lot of nuance to it as I'm learning in these new lessons that I'm taking. But I mean, it's a small box with different colors, and anyone could take a 16 by 16 box, put colors in it, and say, I made a sprite.
Gotcha.
I've made
it
lots of
was more
sprites,
just
man.
kind of an, yeah, it was just kind of an ease of use and kind of ease of entry choice.
Gotcha. What kind of program do you use for that?
I'm using a sprite.
Okay.
It's a drawing tool specifically made for sprites, so it's got the ability to do animations frame by frame, and you can feed through them. There's essentially a free version of a sprite called Libre Sprite that's available. It's just kind of a earlier version that they said here, take it for free. And a sprite is the paid version, but that is what I am using for sprite development.
Very cool.
Man. Or I know the artist, and you peeked up there too there, Hermes. I knew that was gonna go there, but okay, so I appreciate you talking. Holy shit. I'm gonna play this build probably tonight. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow. And you said you're okay.
Any feedback, go ahead and stream it.
Good deal.
Any
Okay.
feedback you can give me, I deeply appreciate.
I'm excited.
I'll also be playing it for the thumbnail. So
let's go. Hell yeah.
All right, great.
Hell yeah. I wanted to ask, and this isn't, I just wanted to see if you wanted it. Do you want any recorded gameplay just to have it? Because I will have it as a VOD. Everything will be there. If not, that's fine. I can just throw it to you. It's not anything. I can even remove my stupid face. So whatever you want me to do.
Sure, I'll take it.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm nearing completion on this version, and so that one's inherently a little out of date, but I'll take it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I plan on playing every single build, maybe multiple times. So I'm very excited. This stuff is so great. So for anybody in chat, if you guys are new and didn't quite get the link before, there is a playable demo that I am going to be posting in the chat, which you can download and play. And if you guys have any feedback, I guess, where could they reach you for feedback if you want it? Is there a tool on itch that allows that, or?
Yeah, comments should be enabled on itch. You could, you see me on Discord, you could IM me or DM me, whatever the term is. I also have a very rough Discord for collecting feedback.
Okay.
So that's something I could give a link to, but yeah, just any way you can give feedback, tweet it to me, send it to me on Discord, whatever.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Any feedback is valuable to me.
Good deal. Hermes, did you have something? I cut you off earlier.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be down in the description.
Sweet, awesome, good deal. Yes.
Quick note: it is only a Windows build, so if you are on Linux or Mac, it will probably not work.
Thank you. I will make sure to put that in the description, at least in parentheses, so if nobody's like, "What the fuck, this game doesn't work," which might happen, but I'll make sure I'm gonna do that. So let's switch gears. I appreciate you again. Oh my God, I could talk to you for 42 hours about this stuff. But I hope you'll come back for updates regarding your game, the progress you're making, your current builds and stuff. And I think that would be awesome. I think that'd be really, really cool to kind of keep updates going. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So you're welcome. Always, if you've got a new build coming out, let us know. We'll get you on here and pick your brain some more to see where you're currently at. I think that'll be a good time.
Sounds good.
So switching gears, I want to talk about a little game, another indie title, Destiny 2.
Company.
I know, I know that you are big into it. So what are your current thoughts on where Destiny 2 is now?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just give brief background. I've been playing this game literally since beta on Xbox, so I've followed it through the highs and lows. I played it through the Taken King drought until we got the spring update. Done through it all.
Were you this heavy into D1 as well? Destiny 1?
I'd almost an interesting question. Yeah, I'd say yeah. I've played a lot of both games. D1 just because of the time in my life I was at. I was able to do a lot more end game stuff, so I was doing a raid or couple every week just because I had the time. And I've done maybe 3 raids in D2. So it's just time and other responsibilities get away from that. But I have played fairly heavily in both games. Um, Destiny 2's in a very good place. I hazard to say it's in the best place. It still has a lot of issues, and I think most of the community is aware of those issues. I will say that Destiny's strongest elements right now are definitely the weapons. Destiny's has had very good weapon design for the last few seasons. The normal seasonal weapons and reintroduced weapons, along with the exotics, with like one exception of the stasis sidearm that just was awful. Seriously, that gun was awful. I don't like it. I don't think anyone likes it.
What's it called?
It's like the Cryothesia 77K.
Oh, okay. Not the one I thought it was. Okay.
Honestly, it's like a worse, like there's a stasis hand cannon that's available this
Mhm.
season, and it's like a worse version of that.
Jesus Christ.
And it's not great for an exotic weapon. So
That always sucks.
But
Like,
all the
right, you
other-
get that weapon, and you're like, yeah, it's an exotic, and you're like, no, not that one.
I mean, it was in the season's past, so
Right.
you could pay $10 and get it and then trash it. So I think I
That's
have
so
one
good.
sitting in my vault. But yeah, so weapon design's been on point, and I'm excited to see what Witch Queen brings, especially with the glaive, the new melee weapon. And then story is definitely a definite high point. Destiny has really seen a really good step into their seasonal story content, and that's kind of, I think that's a big reason is just they've figured out their cadence and what works, and they've kind of figured out a good way to dish out story within a season. There was a recent interview, I think, with Game Informer or someone, I can't remember where, but they were talking with the seasonal narrative team, and they're basically saying when they approach the seasonal story, they're saying, we want to make it like a TV show. Basically, every week, come back, get your episode of Destiny 2 story, and, go off and do whatever, but that's the story content for the season. And that goes on for 8 or 9 weeks. And then you move forward. The unfortunate side of that story is that there is a lot of background that if you
Yes.
step in,
Yes.
there
Yes.
is, and that's one of the big sticking points when I try and get people to play this game. Saying, I don't know the story. I'm like, okay, it's been around for 7 years, so I don't blame you.
Yeah. You don't. You're right.
Yeah, I can't find fault with them saying I don't want to catch up on 7 years of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
But being caught up on all that story, there's a lot of really cool storytelling that's being done. Like, I guess spoilers for the beginning of this season, but we found out that the big bad of the next expansion has been hiding among us all year inside of another person that we thought we could trust. And if you look backwards, literally back this whole year, there have been bits and teases and hints that this has been the case.
Mm.
And you just don't see stuff like that anywhere else.
Right.
And because of Destiny's setting and its kind of themes, there's a lot of different aspects of storytelling and different story elements that they could pick up. With Beyond Light, they were able to pick up this really deep sci-fi element of what is it like making a robot body and putting a human mind into it. And then you skip to this season, and it's a lot more of like mystical kings and queens and, long-term plans and thievery or not thievery, but like conniving long-term plans and backstabbing. But there's also very like close to home stories in terms of like this season is also about a brother and sister. There were stories last season that were literally just, hey, check on your friends. Like there was one episode, or there was one lore tab where a commander is working himself to the bone because that's all he knows, and someone brings him Thai. Like a friend of his brings him Thai food, and they sit down and eat, and he agrees to take it a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like not a lot of games are able to do that kind of breadth of storytelling, that kind of all different types of storytelling and tell a bunch of different stories. On the other hand, Destiny 2 is not in a great place, but the big but, right now that big but is the monetization of the game. It is free to play, but free to play kind of is a joke. There is a brief tutorial, like quest, and then you're kind of thrown to the wolves, and you can do PvP, you can do this other kind of PV, like mix of PvE and PvP, and you can do PvE strikes, like short missions with two other people. And if you're high enough level, you can do one raid and you can do one dungeon, and that's really all that you have available as a free-to-play player. Come December, you'll have one campaign to play through for 3 months, and then it's going away.
Yeah. Oh.
And that's so it's a free-to-play game, but there's not a lot of free-to-play to do.
It's almost like it's a glorified demo, really, is what their free-to-play is.
It's like a glorified demo, and then you have to start putting in money.
Right.
And then the big kerfuffle that's been recent is that they're making players pay for the end game content separately instead of kind of including it. I don't know how read in you are on this, but they have 3-player missions called dungeons that are end game content. You go in with very little information. You kind of have to figure out how to finish them, and they all have their own unique mechanics. And they're locking the dungeons behind you can either buy the deluxe edition for the upcoming expansion and you'll get them, or if you don't do that, you can upgrade it to it later, or you can buy them separately when they come out. And we have no idea what that pricing is going to look like. It could be $10. If it looks like the upcoming 30th anniversary thing, it could be $30 for essentially one piece of content and the loot inside it.
You could absolutely be losing your ass off if they just, depending on the price that they go with individually. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Right.
You could absolutely lose X amount of money depending on what they price it.
Yep. And the assumption, because of the last dungeon that they released, it came for free with a season. And I think the going assumption with this, until Bungie had recently clarified it, was, they'll be released during a season, and if you buy the season, you get the dungeon. And they have clarified that that is not the case, which means if you care about that dungeon, you don't want to upgrade to the deluxe edition, you're forking over however much money when those dungeons come out for one piece of content.
Okay.
Me personally, I'm probably going to put down, like, at some point, I'm going to put down the $100 or whatever to get everything from, like, December up through the next expansion. Like, because I know I'll be playing the game.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the absolute cheapest option.
Right.
But I totally understand people saying, I just want to buy Witch Queen and then buy seasons a la carte if I want them. But doing that, if they care about endgame content, they're automatically paying for more. Like, they're automatically paying more for it.
Yeah. And that's what sucks coming with free to play attitude, or not free to play, I guess, environment. When you introduce anything into the free to play, a lot of people are like, cool, free to play, I get to check out the game, I don't have to worry about it, it's going to be great. The other hand of that is, well, they still have to monetize and make money on the game to push everything forward. So you know that some of that stuff is going to cost money, right?
Right.
It would be great if it was all cosmetic, you know what I mean? It'd be great, but that's not necessarily always going to push you to the level. And this is where I separate the free to play Fortnite from the free to play Destiny. Fortnite, they have their cosmetics. That's what you buy, right? That's what everybody's excited about. Hey, I got the new hammer glider. I don't know what the hell they're called. In Destiny, it's more like, hey, I bought the season pass. I can get all this shit. I'm also going to be putting XYZ amount of time into it.
There's a difference between free to play and pay to progress. Really is what it is.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Yes, it's
Yeah, I mean, I hazard to say that Destiny is pay to progress, but you're not entirely wrong.
mm-hmm.
It's just that they're kind of stuck between worlds of like this standalone pay for the game and free to play.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I don't know that the game's ever going to move away from that. And I don't really have a solution. I know tons of people do if you ask them, and who knows how viable
Everybody
those
does.
solutions are.
Well, this is what they need. This is what they need to do. Obviously,
Just make everything free. I'll buy skins. It's
yeah.
I remember when you could beat the game.
Yeah.
Remember that? I remember.
Yeah.
God, man.
Yeah, and then the flip side of that is the vaulting of content, which is a whole can of worms.
Mm-hmm. And you're specifically talking about the Beyond Light stuff, right? Or no?
I'm talking about in general.
Just no matter what
it was a big deal when it came around with Beyond Light, and it's a big deal now. With Beyond Light, it was a big deal because so much was going away. It was literally 4 destinations and nearly everything involved with them. And that's a big hit to take on a game that had 8 destinations, I want to say.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So they lost 4, gained 2 back. Or gained 2 new ones with Beyond Light. This one, they're losing 1, which I don't think anyone actually really cares about the destination. Everyone's pretty much done everything they want to do on that destination, so I don't think anyone's too torn up about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're torn up about the loss of the campaign more than anything, I believe. Some people are pissed off because they paid for that content, so they think that they should
And it's
have
not
it
there.
forever.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not there anymore.
Right.
Or it won't be there anymore. Half of it won't be there. Whatever. And I'm torn. Honestly, I get why people are upset. I don't want to say anyone's wrong for being upset. But as a developer, someone who works in software, I understand everything that Bungie's saying. Like, there isn't really an analogous game to look at them and say, oh, they're doing it this way. Why are you getting rid of why are you getting rid of destinations and game modes and maps? There isn't really an analogous game. Like, people point to, I know one that they point to is like Call of Duty, and they think it's all about game size, like the actual file size. And Call of Duty's massive, 100+ gigs.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is just textures. It's just the art in the game. As you get higher fidelity art, it takes up more space. So it's not really a file constraint, or it's not a file size constraint. And then other live service games, they don't really do what Destiny does. Like, I'll say Rainbow Six Siege has been putting out updates and new operators and new maps for years. I don't even know how long at this point. But they don't put out whole destinations and story modes and missions and
even they get rid of
sorts of crazy weapons.
Even they get rid of maps. They have maps that leave cycle. Yeah, they do. They just have maps that aren't there when an update comes out. So it happens, but not as the scale, I guess, that Destiny 2 is, right? You're literally leaving an entire place to go to. That's like, I mean, that's kind of nuts. But also at the same time, I saw a terrible argument online where somebody said that, just make Destiny 3.
Oh, God, no.
Here's the thing.
People don't understand what that means.
You're losing a destination. If they make Destiny 3, you're losing Destiny 2.
Yeah, you're
all of it.
like,
You know what I mean? You're losing all of it. You're not going to be like, hey, you know, that's like somebody right now complaining they're losing a destination and be like, hey, I still go back to play Destiny 1. You might do that, but not nearly as much as you are putting the time into Destiny 2, which is what you're going to want to do when Destiny, quote unquote, 3 comes out, right? So that was the worst argument. He was complaining that they were moving destinations, but wanted them to make Destiny 3. Doesn't make any sense because you're going to lose the entire installment of Destiny 2 when they all switch over to Destiny 3. That just blew my mind that person didn't understand what the hell's going on.
Literally, have me pay even more money.
Yeah, exactly.
well, I think in their mind, I can't speak to what they're saying for sure, but I think in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'll get everything. They'll just make everything from my Destiny 2 file port over, and they'll probably bring some of the destinations over, whatever. Like, they have some kind of condition in their mind, or some kind of, trying to think of the right word, but they have something in their head that's saying, yeah, it'll be fine. And I can't think of the word right now, but it's, yeah, like, realistically, if Destiny 3 happens, like, Bungie's not going to pull over all of your weapons, and you're going to have all of your Destiny 2 weapons in Destiny 3. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
And, you know, Destiny 3, it's not going to have all the same environments. They're not going to bring raids. If they didn't do it with D1, they're doing it now because they have the bandwidth to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's not going to be just slap a 3 on it and they suddenly have three more destinations and all of the old ones.
Yeah, look what happens when you just put a different number in front of it. We have everything. It's great.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that Destiny it's in the trenches right now because of how they're doing development. It's incredibly cyclical. Like, realistically speaking, Witch Queen is done.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing a little bit, I'm sure they're doing some stuff, but Witch Queen is more or less finalized, and they're starting the seasonal content for Witch Queen. Like, season 2, they're starting planning for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they already have 2 expansions past Witch Queen planned.
Yeah, they did a whole roadmap.
Yeah, they have a whole roadmap. So them deciding, hey, we're going to do Destiny 3, that puts the brakes on all of that in some form. Like, yeah, they could switch gears and say, okay, the expansion after Witch Queen becomes Destiny 3, fine, whatever. It's still puts the brakes on that whole thing and ends up extending that development cycle.
Right.
Because realistically, that expansion is going to have it's going to have one new destination, a bunch of weapons, and that's it. But that's not going to stand the test of time for a full release of Destiny, because the first game had 4 destinations.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, if Destiny 3 came out and had 1 destination, weapons or whatever, people would not, they'd be upset.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, why did you do this? Just keep making Destiny, like, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. Me personally,
no, go ahead.
Me personally, I'm very happy that Destiny is a spot where, and it does it every time they release a trailer. Gets me every single time. Every time they release a trailer, I'm like, I need to get back in. I play. I get up to the point where I'm okay to go into the next expansion, which is perfect for me because it's very hard for me to play one game and do it. But like I when I started, felt very behind. I was current story wise. I did everything I thought I did. I was pretty sure I did. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember now. It's been a long time, a lot of battles. You know what I mean? But now going into getting ready, and it's what, February is the Witch Queen? February.
Yep.
I don't know what my light level is. Power level? Light level? Power level? What is it called?
It's the same thing.
It's whatever. Yeah. I've been calling it power level, so I knew it was light level.
Game.
Yeah.
Anyone who played D1 probably still calls it light
level. Right. And that's
between the two.
That's exactly where I was. I was like, I feel like calling this power level is not right. but I think it's a beautiful game for me to get into, and I love playing it. I've never been a huge grinder of one specific game, outside of multiplayer, like Call of Duty, sure, Halo back in the day, whatever. But I always played other single player games as they came out. But Destiny, I've never felt like I couldn't enjoy myself once I understood what was going on. Like I jumped in Destiny, I was like, okay, I need to do this. Here's the story. I've got that finished. That's what I kind of appreciate about it is I can jump in, new expansion comes out, hop in. All right. I completed the story, got that out of there. Great. If I want to do the end game stuff, it's always going to be there. I can always up my light level and do whatever I need to, get exotics, whatever it is. Even the events, the Halloween one is fucking fantastic. I've always loved it. It's cool. But Destiny's so good in that aspect where I just don't have any issues jumping in and playing. Granted, you're also talking to somebody who hasn't played a raid. So
yeah, I've heard Destiny before called as kind of like a phone game.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a phone game where you can kind of pick it up and do whatever and then drop it and go do whatever. Like realistically, that's what a lot of people are doing now.
Right.
Is November, they're just going to go do other stuff because there's not a whole lot going on in the game.
Right.
And then early December, they're going to finish up the story. And then they start doing all the anniversary stuff. And that's when a bunch of people are going to pop back in, get their gal horns and have a good time.
Right. Speaking of phone games, let me tell you about Raid Shadow. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But I do want to say thank you, Sabre, for joining us. It's been a fucking blast. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I could literally talk your ear off and ask you to death all about your game development, how it's going and everything. But I think the best way for me to get that answer is to play it. And that's what I plan on doing. I hope everybody else does. Give this game a shot. Go check it out. Give some feedback. It is a playable demo. There isn't a name. I think right now it's just Project Tower. Is that correct?
Yep, just a code name.
Great. Code name Project Tower. Go play it. It is a 2D dungeon crawler roguelike. So if you guys want to check it out, please go see the link that I have in chat again. Give some feedback. You can reach him, I think, anywhere he's in. If you're in my Discord, he's in there as well. Shout him out there. He has his own Discord. You can hit him up on Twitter. What are your handles? Do you want to share all those for me real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same handle everywhere.
Good.
Find it.
Would you say on all social media that matters?
All social media that matters.
Awesome.
I've got your Twitter, so I will do your Twitter for you. I'll put it in the link.
Yeah, it's basically just Twitter. There's a
cool.
Facebook page, but no one cares about Facebook.
You mean Metaverse?
Yeah, no one cares about Meta.
Fantastic. So if you guys get a chance, please go hop over, check out the game. Let us know what you think. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna be pretty vocal. I think you have a roadmap. You said next year at some point, maybe a Kickstarter. Kind of see where you're at.
Yep. So like I said earlier, releases. I'm planning on doing a release December, early January, and then about every 4 months after that should be a new version until the full game. And then about this time next year, I'll probably be starting promoting a Kickstarter. So
Good deal.
Look out for that.
I definitely will be. I will be sharing it like no other. So yeah, holy shit. Thank you so much for joining today, man. It's been great. I think you and I have yet to play any Destiny 2 together, so we need to make that happen. I think that'd be a good time. Hermes, I know you play. At least you have it, so feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. As for anybody else, thank you guys so much. This has been episode 24. Actually, before I go, Hermes, where can people reach you? Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
You can find me everywhere at Hermes Akumu on all social media that matters. And Beach, it's been awesome. Sabre, thank you for coming on.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Good. All right, guys. He'll be back with updates about how his game's going. We'd love to have him back. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you are on YouTube and you made it this far, you're very, very special to me. If you didn't, then you have no idea. So that's okay. But I will see you beautiful people next time. Thank you everybody for watching. That's episode 24. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks everybody. Bye.